Despite playing Genshin for almost 4 years, I've never actually completed a region, but with Natlan just around the corner and my Fontaine barely explored, I asked myself a very simple question. Is it possible to beat Fontaine in just 24 hours? But what exactly do I mean by beat? Is it going through all the story quests, or maybe even exploring the entire region? Well, in this video, I gave myself the challenge to complete everything Fontaine has to offer with 2 simple rules. Skipping any of the quest dialogues is strictly prohibited, and also only have 24 in-game hours to complete this challenge. But that's not it, because if I fail to complete this challenge, I'll have to spend all of my primogems on the standard banner. So, can you beat Fontaine in just 24 hours? Well, let's find out. Yeah, as you can see, I have barely even touched Fontaine, and I also haven't unlocked any of the waypoints. So the first goal for today's stream is to unlock all of these and also begin with exploration. But before we get started, let me show you guys my primo count. So as of right now, I have around 23,000 primogems. So let's see how many primogems I can get after completing everything in Fontaine. But now that's enough talk. Let's start the challenge now in 3, 2, 1, let's go. And just like that, the timer had started. So without wasting any of my time, I unlocked every single waypoint that I could. Now luckily, most of them were actually pretty easy to get, but some of them were actually kind of weird. Wait a second, chat. How do I unlock this? Do I need to go down for this? You're close? Wait, I'm close? Now, thankfully, my chat came to my rescue, and with their help, I quickly unlocked some of the harder ones as well. Check Discord, I marked it. Oh, for real? Hold on, let's see. Holy shit, you actually did mark it. Bro, which phone are you playing on? What is this screenshot? So it's somewhere over here. Behind the cafe. What the fuck? Oh, let's fucking go. And after just 20 minutes worth of farming, I pretty much unlocked every single waypoint that I could. So without wasting even a second, I quickly moved on to collecting all the hydroculus, which unknowingly became one of the best decisions of this entire challenge. You see, to save some time, I was using this guide video to get the exact location for every single hydroculus in Fontaine. And thanks to this, I realized that half of this big ass island was actually locked behind the various Fontaine quests, which were some of the longest ones that we have in game. In fact, in order for me to collect all the chests and hydroculus here, I would have to complete the entire Melazine questline, which would have taken me more than 4 hours to complete. Now first, that might not seem like a big issue, but because my original plan was to start with this big ass region, it meant that I'd basically saved myself a bunch of time, which I would have otherwise spent being confused and just roaming around randomly. But now, even after doing all that, I was still pretty clueless as to what I should do next, so I decided to make a brand new plan to pull off this challenge. Alright, so as you guys can see, I'm pretty much done with all the hydroculi, because I have like 76 of them right now, and the remaining 9 are actually locked behind those long ass story quests, which is a problem for future me. But still, I do have a bunch of time left over, so you know what? Let's try to get all the non-quest related chests from these like lower 2 islands, and I'll get the other ones later. So yeah, that's the plan. Let's get started. So with my newly revised plan, I went in ham. I cleared out any of the puzzles I saw and also opened multiple chests. By R2, I had passively unlocked a bunch of achievements and also opened tons of luxurious chests. And because of me causing this eco-terrorism in Fontaine, my exploration progress had finally started to skyrocket. But even after doing all that, I had still only barely explored a third of Fontaine and hadn't even touched the ocean stuff. So for the next 30 minutes, I became the deep and started to violate some fish to hunt down the underwater chests, which gave me a ton of primos. But at this point in the challenge, my brain had pretty much melted, so I started to chill out for a bit and started doing the Fontaine Archon quest, where we witnessed our first type death and then also went on a date with Navia and ate her macarons. And yes, doing that was very important for the plot. And with all that done, I finally started to end the day off with 500 primos collected and 24% of Fontaine completed. Now, after seeing how far I had come over the last 6 hours, I decided to maintain this momentum and continue to explore even more of Fontaine. But instead of just running around randomly, I decided to change my plan to speed things up. Alright guys, so my goal for now is to collect as many chests that I can ASAP. My plan is to start with this area of Fontaine first, because I'm not gonna lie, I don't want to deal with any quests right now, so I'll save the Melazine Island for last and complete these 2 islands first. So let's not waste time and get started. And so with this newly revised plan, I went in ham. Thankfully, most of these chests and puzzles were actually pretty easy to get, but some of them were actually locked behind the brand new Fontaine mechanisms, which were related to the Hydro Traveler. So I rushed to the Fontaine statue, resonated with Hydro, and unlocked him. Wait, why is this thing so small? Dude, you versus the guy she tells you not to worry about. Now, doing these Fontaine puzzles actually gave me a bunch of primos and also some achievements. And because I was super locked in, I somehow managed to complete everything here after about 70 minutes worth of farming. Now, at this point in the challenge, I was surprisingly doing a lot better than I had imagined. And for once in my life, my plan was actually working. Or so I thought, because this is exactly where I made a very stupid decision that might have just ruined this entire challenge. Okay, so now that we have this region fully complete, let's move on to the biggest island that we have on here, which is the main Fontaine Island. Now, I'm pretty sure that this is not going to be too different from the Bellu Islands, so you know what? Let's get this done quickly as well. But now you must be wondering, Yabo, how is that even a bad idea? Wouldn't this island be as easy as the last one? Well, not really. You see, after completing the Bellu Island in just 2 hours, I, for some reason, assumed that the other islands are going to be the exact same. And because my confidence was at an all-time high, I had completely overlooked the fact that the last island was as small as Shao. And to make things even worse, it barely had any underwater stuff in it, which made it very easy to complete. But with that being said, at this point in the challenge, I hadn't quite figured this thing out yet. So me being blissfully ignorant, I continued to explore this main Fontaine island, and by the time I realized how bad this exploration idea was, it was already too late. Now this would not have been all that bad, but because I did not have the Fontaine compass with me, it meant that I was basically exploring this region blindly, hoping to bump in some chests like an average harem anime protagonist. And by this time it was clear that this strategy wasn't gonna work and something had to change quick. Now thankfully, because my brain was going full on panic mode, I somehow got reminded of a resource which I should have been using from the start, because it changed the course of this entire run completely. Wait, I could just use the interactive map, right? Oh my god, you cannot be serious. Dude, how did I even forget about that? And so with my newfound cheat code, my productivity had quadrupled, being that I was basically running through Fontaine collecting everything that I could possibly need, is what I would have said if I were lying. Now you might have thought that thanks to this map, this entire challenge was gonna be a cakewalk, but that is actually very far from the truth. Now don't get me wrong, this map did help me out a lot, but this new cheat code wasn't all perfect. In fact, using this thing might have just made things more difficult for me. So if you don't know, these official guide maps are often kind of buggy on launch, and because I was recording this video during the very first patch of Fontaine, this interactive map did not have a proper layers feature, meaning that the chests at the deepest part of some caves would sometimes show on surface, and on top of that, some of these chests were also incorrectly labeled, making this map kinda inaccurate. Now this would not have been a big issue, but you know what they say. Maps are like bikinis, what they show is cool, but what they hide is more important. And because this island was filled with hundreds of caves, I was basically back at where I started, just aimlessly running around hoping to find a chest, which led me to waste a bunch of time for no apparent reason. So I'm at like 9 hours and I'm still showing that I only have like 70% of this thing complete. How big is this region, dude? So as a last ditch effort, I tried to use some of the unofficial masks, but those were more funny than helpful. And as if all this wasn't enough, while swimming around Fontaine, I came across this underwater temple with a bulb beast inside. Now I did not think much of this at first, but little did I know this guy was actually going to become the biggest nightmare of this entire challenge. But how did that even happen? Well, let me explain. You see, this bulb beast is no ordinary mob, because feeding this guy 4 times actually unlocks a hidden world quest that gives a luxurious chest, making him a very vital part of this challenge. Now this might sound cool and all, but did you know that you can only feed this guy once per day? And because I record this video over a 4-day period, it meant that completing this challenge was going to be literally impossible, or so I thought. Now every single online source says that you can only feed this guy once a day, but that is actually very wrong. You see, I stayed up all night yesterday and tried to feed him once every hour, and actually found out that you can interact with him every 4 to 6 hours, meaning that I should be able to get this quest done a few minutes before the timer hits 0. Holy shit, dude, necessity is like the MILF of invention. What the fuck? But truth be told, at this point in the challenge, I'd gotten pretty tired of swimming around this region, so I started to find a local legend which humbled my ass. So I switched things up and set to do the second Archon quest for the next 3 hours, where I made the biggest discovery in all of Tevat. Dude, Navia is basically Batman. She lives underground, she has like a cool ass butler, and her father is dead. But that wasn't all, because during this quest, we also saw Child jump the judge. Sadly, however, instead of being Shaznaya's greatest weapon, he became the biggest victim instead. And so with that, I started to end the day off with 1,100 primos collected and around 47 of Fontaine completed. So now with all my Archon quests completed, you might think that my only task now is to just roam around collecting chests, meaning that the remainder of this challenge should be kinda easy, right? Well, not really, because so far we barely even scratched the surface. So without wasting any of my time, I went back to grinding and hunted down every single chest and puzzle that I could see. And while doing this, I came across the chonkiest boss in Genshin, which took me 10 entire minutes to beat, and then I also completed a random world quest and helped this farmer find his dogs. But even after doing that for about an hour, my exploration progress had barely gone up, and although my map had started to look as dry as a pair of some nun's knickers, I was just stuck at 84% exploration no matter what I did. Now assume that this is happening because of the fact that I had been kinda lazy and was skipping over these floating money crate thingies, so I started to collect all of them for about an hour and a half, but little did I know, doing that actually turned out to be the biggest waste of time in this entire challenge. You see, exploration in Genshin does not work the way most people think it does, because in order for you to 100% a region, you don't literally have to hunt out every single chest like a maniac. Instead, you just need to fulfill certain quotas of chests of varying varieties, and that's about it. Now sure, collecting these crates might help your total chest tally by a bit, but doing this still won't replace the real objective, which is to collect the rare chests like the precious and the luxurious ones. And this is also probably why you sometimes find common chests in areas that you've already fully completed. But at this point in the challenge, I still hadn't quite figured this thing out yet, being that I've wasted another 15 minutes just looking for these crates. Fortunately though, I quickly came back to my senses and made up an entirely new master plan to save my run. Alright guys, so after spending like 3 hours here, I have pretty much collected all the chests and the puzzles that I could, but for some reason my exploration is still kind of stuck at 90%. Now I think that the only way to increase it further is by doing some of the world quests, because while I was swimming here, I noticed that a bunch of areas like caves are locked, and those might just have the rare luxurious chests and the hydroculus that I've been missing. So you know what, that's our next goal, so let's not waste any time and get back to work. And so with this brand new plan, I went berserk and grinded every single quest that I could see. Now most of them were actually kind of short, but the longer ones took me nearly 70 minutes to complete. But hey, at least it did help me unlock this beautiful underwater kingdom, which gave me a bunch of hydroculus and also some chests that I was missing. And thankfully, because my gamble about this chest quota thing was correct, coming here gave me almost 4% extra of exploration, bumping my total to around 92%. And somehow during this entire quest fiasco, I accidentally managed to make the most crucial discovery that ended up saving my run. You see, while I was looking for more stuff to complete, I came across this hidden quest involving a lady that wanted to learn how to fish. Sounds easy enough, right? Well, not really, because at first this lady might look like an ordinary NPC, but don't be fooled, because for you to actually be able to complete her quest, you need to help her 3 different times, and unlike the Bulbies quest, which only takes around 4 hours to reset, this NPC is fully time gated, meaning that you can only interact with her once a day. But luckily, because I was recording this part of the video just minutes before midnight, I managed to complete 2/3 of this quest in just one day, meaning that if I were to find out about this NPC even a few minutes late, this entire challenge would have been completely jeopardized. And as if the stress of this fishing quest wasn't enough, I soon ran into the biggest problem of this entire challenge that no tactic or plan could solve. Okay, so this just wants me to bring my lover here, so how do I get a girlfriend ASAP? Now fortunately, the boys came to my rescue to help me with this chest, allowing me to finally push my exploration to almost 99%, with Fontaine commissions and reputation system also unlocked. So yeah, as you guys can see, I pretty much collected everything on this island, but my exploration progress is still kind of stuck at 99%. But worry not, because I do have this one secret resource that might just give me the last 1%. Now, what's the secret resource, you might ask? Well, it's none other than the character quest. So if you played Genshin for a while, you probably know that most of the 5-star quests actually have a one-time domain that gives you multiple rewards, including a guaranteed precious chest. And because this domain for Lenny was on the main island of Fontaine, I thought that doing this might just help me complete this region. And so for the remainder of the day, I spent most of my time finishing Lenny's quest, which involved solving a murder mystery and also asking a very rich magician to help us. But instead, he basically says this:
"You fat, stinking, and you ugly.
Okay.
You fat, you stink, and you ugly, and you broke."
We then found out that this rich guy had actually killed Lenny's teacher called Caesar, and the mastermind behind this plan was actually Caesar's wife, because she was in love with that rich magician. Dude, what kind of K-drama shit was that? Like, even in Genshin, these maidens are loyal. Oh, so why are we even doing this? Do we have a whole lot sister to find? But hold on, did we get the final 1% to complete this island? Let's see. What? Dude, how is that even possible, bro? Are you kidding me? And so with that, I decided to end the day off with 1,200 primos collected and around 70% of Fontaine completed. To start off day 4, I fed the Bulbies and then decided to complete the longest part of this challenge, the Melusine quest, which first involved helping this painter called Mamer, and then it somehow ends up like your average JRPG where we basically had to be the god of all Melusines. Now completing this quest did take me around 3 hours, but it did help me unlock a bunch of new areas that came with its own mini quests, hydroculus, and also some waypoints that I mentioned at the start of the video. So I quickly collected everything that I was missing and then started to speedrun every single quest that I could see, which basically involved finding a Melusine's lost token, helping out a stressed out nerd, fixing a fountain, becoming an Uber Eats delivery driver, getting scammed while selling a jewel worth millions, breaking a cursed seal, and doing much more. Now thankfully, most of these quests are actually kind of short, meaning that I somehow managed to complete all of them within 45 minutes. And by the time I was done with them, that Bug Beast was hungry again. So I fed it for the last time, which allowed me to get the far luxurious chest in the Court of Fontaine region. But just when I thought this entire challenge was going well, I ran into my very first issue. You see, one of the quests in this underground Melusine area actually requires you to find 13 lost pages of this book and bring them right here for a luxurious chest. Sounds easy enough, right? Well, it is, because I somehow managed to find all 12 of them while just passively exploring Fontaine, meaning that I only had one page left to collect. But you see, the thing with this quest is that it doesn't tell you the exact page that you're still missing, which meant that I had to go back to all the 13 locations again and look for the final missing piece, which took me almost 30 minutes, and it somehow ended up being right behind this book stand, making it the least efficient activity I had done. Now at this point of the challenge, things had started to look very grim for me. I had brutally underestimated the depth of my stupidity and spent almost 4 hours doing the job of the Fontainian municipalities. And to make things worse, I had a bunch of tasks still left over to complete with only 2 hours left, making it seem like failure was going to be a foregone conclusion. So while I was in this panic mode, I quickly decided to move on to the next item on my list, achievements. Now luckily, almost every hidden achievement was actually related to some side quests, being that I'd gotten them already, and the remaining ones were actually quite simple and only required me to buy some books or recipes, collect newspaper, and also find some local legends, which took me around 30 minutes to complete. But midway through collecting all these achievements, I realized that I had already made my final big mistake. Wait, dude, I forgot about the exploration. Wait, how long do I have left? What? I wanted to complete this entire island! Needless to say, all hope had left my body. I still had around 15% of this big ass island still left to explore, but only had less than 60 minutes to do that. So without wasting a single second, I quickly ran through all the new areas that I had unlocked and opened many chests. And for doing this hard work, I got a very special present from Hoyoverse as well. Okay, that was crazy. Holy, what is that? But even after doing all that, I was still facing the exact same problem as the last island. No matter how many chests I had opened, my exploration was still just kind of stuck in 90% with basically nothing left to do. Or so I thought. You see, in my desperate attempt to get my exploration up, I set to open the interactive map one final time, just to make sure I hadn't missed anything. And as you might have already guessed, I did, because I found out that I'd skipped over the Fontaine Shrines of Depth, which always have a luxurious chest inside. So I rushed to the nearest statue of the seven, used all my hydroculus there, and obtained a bunch of shrine keys. Then I looked at the location of these shrines, used the keys to collect multiple luxurious chests, which gave me tons of hydro sigils. So I later went to the Fontaine fountain, dumped all the sigils there, and ended up getting a bunch of rewards. Holy dude, look at how many primos we're getting. Now seeing this, you guys must be wondering, Yabo, who are you even saving these wishes for? Well, all these primogems are reserved for the single greatest character in Genshin Impact, a lady that has Fontaine right under her feet. Navia! And now finally, with only 10 minutes left on the clock, I went to the Fontaine Reputation Lady to collect all of my questy XP. But this is exactly where I got the biggest shock of this entire challenge. You see, I was still missing a Melusine mission and had completely forgotten about the fishing side quest. So without even thinking for a second, I quickly rushed to that big ass island and helped this Melusine celebrate her birthday and then complete the final part of this fishing quest with only half a minute left. And now in these final 30 seconds of the challenge, I collected all of my Fontaine Reputation EXP and also went through all of my unclaimed achievements, which gave me an extra 400 primos. And just like that, the timer was up, and now it was finally time to see if I'd completed the challenge or not. Alright, so this is it. 24 hours are over and we're ending the challenge right in front of this reputation lady. But anyways, let's see if I was able to complete the challenge or not. So yeah, as you can see, my Fontaine is level 20, which I think is the max I can go for now. And next up we have the statues, and yeah, they are also fully leveled up with all the 85 hydroculus in it. Also, all the Fontaine achievements and quests are also 100% done, and now I think it's time to finally check my exploration progress. But before we do that, let's look at what primos are looking like. So yeah, I have around 85,500 primos right now, meaning that I've collected over 5,000 primos in total, which is honestly not that bad. But anyways, that's enough talk. Let's see what our exploration is looking like. Dude, I genuinely don't know if it's like 100% or not. Let's see. The moment of truth. And let's go! Holy shit, dude, I was so scared. If you're new, be sure to subscribe, and oh my god, let's fucking go.